Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And Hollywood writers are depressed that the writer's room is what is the bone of contention to get these strikes wrapped up. Apparently, nobody wants them, and they're feeling
they're necessary. The writers will tell you so.
The writers are telling you that they're necessary, just like the video game journalists were telling everybody they were necessary right before. A bunch of them got fired, laid off, terminated. So we're going to talk about this because this seems to be the holdup. My understanding following the strikes is that everything would be fine if it wasn't for the writer's room, because one of the things that WGA is pushing for is to have a minimum number of writers on each show. And even showrunners have come out and said, nobody asked for this. We didn't want this.
And a lot of them don't want this, but the writers will argue that, oh, no, they need us there.
And some of them are having an identity crisis. They're in therapy now because of the mental health effects.
I mean, I'm sure that's true.
I'm sure it's true, but I think they're coming to the realization that their time in Hollywood might be short. And it's not because of AI. It's because they really weren't necessary. A lot of them are not necessary. I'm not saying writers aren't necessary. I'm being very clear. Writers are necessary, but so many writers, not so much. Not so much.
There's just too many hired when they kept greenlighting too many things.
Right. So let's talk about all this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. If you do, you'll get a woohoo.
Woohoo!
This is the anonymous strike diary on the Hollywood Reporter. And this is coming from a writer. Why protecting the writer's room is good for studios' bottom line.
That's a good question. Why is it? Because where we're sitting, it's not.
Not really. I mean, I understand you don't want people to be overworked, but the argument from some showrunners who talked to Variety was that if we need extra help, we'll hire extra help.
Well, I think the problem becomes, too many. They're like, well, many brains are a better product. I don't think so. I think it becomes more convoluted. The direction and it gets sidetracked. I don't think that they're as on point if you have too many people. I think that's how we get a lot of these shows that don't respect the source material, end up going on these tangents. People are like, what the hell's going on?
I'd like to know how many writers they had in the Witcher writers room when they really just needed Henry Cavill.
Better question: How many people in the writers room actually cared about the source material?
Very few, and those that did left or they got pushed out, as I understand it. So yeah, this is a sticking point. I know that. So here's where it gets really interesting. So the WGA is talking to AMPTP right now, the studios, right?
Okay.
But they're closed door discussions. They don't want anything leaking out to the press because they don't want people running with rumors and speculation.
Right.
I think they're looking at potentially getting rid of the writer's room because that seems to be the hang-up. The studios seem to be agreeing to more residuals. They seem to be agreeing to putting some limitations on AI.
Yes.
What they're not agreeing to is, we're going to hire so many writers on a project that doesn't really need it just because
you're mandating it.
You're mandating
right.
it.
And I think a lot of times, a lot of the reasons shows end up so shitty is because there's too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yes. So, again, anonymous strike diary, why protecting the writer's room is good. Now, you said you get about halfway down.
Yeah, okay. So as a public service announcement, they're going to try to educate us on why.
Why?
This is TV secret sauce and why the executives in the C-suite just don't get why the writer's room is important.
Okay.
The writer's room is where the magic happens. Protecting is not a red herring demand. It's not a cynical grab for cash. It's not a request to pay people to sit around and do nothing all day. It's the heart of what's made TV good. If you're at all feeling the slight decline in the average quality of TV, it's not because we're not trying hard. I'm sorry. Give me a moment. It's not because we got lazy. We love this job. It's because you have too many of you activists trying to, masquerade as writers. We love doing it well. We just haven't been allowed to. Whoa. Your excuses. You need more writers in the writer's room that don't have to go by the recent shows of late that have sucked. For every one good show, you got like dozens of shitty shows because you were trying hard and it wasn't your fault. Yeah, that would have been your fault then. But I can't. It used to be that writers stuck around as a show was shot and divvied up the infinite task to ensure quality. Sounds like a showrunner to me.
Yeah.
Many brains made for better product. More writers paying attention to what's being made. Now most of us are forced off shows we love by studios who don't want to pay us before the cameras even start rolling. And we can't see where this efficiency train is headed. We can see where it's headed, eliminating the writer's room altogether.
Yes.
Yeah, because they don't need you, because they have showrunners who handle this stuff.
Yeah, so they're trying to say that they basically, the showrunners need them, but what they're describing is a personal assistant and not a writer. They said, overburdened showrunners try to remember all the shit we talk about in the room and why we talked about it. And when scripts actually went into production a year or more later, it left them to deal with countless studio notes alone. To struggle to remember all the things we'd already thought about made a mess of things. It's an impossible task for one person or even two people. I've heard showrunners give me the same advice over and over. When you're in the seat, you got to learn to delegate, but that only works if there's someone there to delegate to.
Yeah, but you can have a few people to delegate to, but they're demanding way more. Actually, if you go up some, it was funny because I don't see it in this part, but they were talking about how they were in the writer's room, and this paragraph. They're talking about the unforgivable sins and stuff of not having the writer's room.
Right.
I don't see it now, but earlier when we read this, we were laughing because they were talking about the writer's room and how they put all their harebrained schemes together, and I'm pretty sure it was that paragraph, which is not there now. And they were talking about how they different things that they try to come up with every scenario, and they talk about in the writer's room their own personal beliefs and their own personal challenges and everything else. I'm like, what's that fucking have to do with the show? Nothing. It sounds like you're using the writer's room as your therapy session, which comes across in a lot of these shows, by the way. I want to point that out.
Yeah, basically they use the writer's room to kibitz about things. And that actually has come up with comic book writers too. Like they have Slacks, I guess with Marvel Comics and stuff. And they're talking about like, oh yeah, it's like friends chat. We go in there and we just shoot the breeze all day and talk about, whatever.
And then they're like, what are we paying you for?
Yeah, I'd be like, yeah, you need to talk about doing work if you're talking about, I understand, little chit chat here and there that happens at any office. But if you've got a paper trail a mile long that you guys are spending all of your time talking about non-work issues, the chat bot's not going to talk about its personal life. I'm just saying.
And the problem is when you have all this going on, instead of doing the show, we're getting the subpar shows that we've been getting.
Yeah.
And they very much often seem scattered.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, they do, because you've got too many different voices, and they're basically saying, well, the showrunners need us. And then this is interesting.
Oh, here it is. Here's the paragraph right here.
Oh, okay.
Cutting the writer's room, not sending writers to set might look like a good idea on paper, which is all the business affairs execs think about. But reality is another question. In that room, we game out countless plots, have thousands of arguments, philosophical, practical, bizarre, come up with good ideas, bad ideas, and crazy ideas. We talk about our lives, our beliefs, our dreams. All of that, a good show can emerge. Out of all that, a good show can emerge. It says them.
Collaborative social intelligence is not only a real thing, it's why our species clawed its way to the top of the food chain.
Oh, shit. Oh, sorry.
Oh, my God.
Excuse me.
Talk about overstating your importance to the survival of the human race. We're talking about a television show. We're talking about, and a lot of the shows that these people are working on, I guarantee you, are garbage shows that don't have any long-lasting effect on pop culture or our collective identity as a people, right? You're not working on the next, Cosby Show, Seinfeld, whatever. You're probably working on some Netflix show that had 10 episodes, got canceled after one season, and boom, you're done.
This next part's funny too.
Okay.
There's a million reasons about, because remember we're talking about how it's going to save them money if they have more writers, okay?
Okay.
One thing that always costs too much money, reshoots. Hey, I hate to break it to you. They've been having a lot of reshoots because the writing was shit.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
You're not saving money. There has been countless examples recently of how they had to redo shows because the writing was dog shit. And it didn't make sense. It didn't work. So the shows where the whole, voice of the show, which would be the writers or the showrunner, was crap, and it didn't fly with audiences. It didn't make sense. There's too many different things going on. There's so many reshoots lately. Pretty much every film and TV show out there has been going through dozens of reshoots because the source, the stuff that you're bringing to the people, don't work.
Of course, it's naive to expect quality to count for anything in this town. It should.
Hasn't for a while, has it?
No. It does in the long run, but should, and in the long run, rarely win out in a business argument in our ADHD era. Basically, they think their stuff is the shit. When
Well,
it actually,
they have the shit right. They're just using it in the wrong way.
but it is shit. And again, you need to get that the in there.
Now, this isn't everyone, of course.
This isn't everyone.
Every good show, you have dozens that suck.
But you have a lot of Hollywood writers, and I've seen them on social media, and they really do think they are important to the survival of the human race.
This reminds me of is Wednesday, the Wednesday show, for example. And then the actress had, was like, she wouldn't act this way. And she's right. Character would not act the way that they were portraying her. And then because she changed it and stuff, we have Tim Burton wanting to work with her again.
Yeah.
And then the writers were out there like mocking her, and then they got their asses handed to them because if it had gone the way they wanted, the show would have sucked. Because they were trying to do their own. Everyone wants to do their own thing. They want to give it their own personal rinse. And unfortunately, that people are there because they're fans of something because they love the original. You just need to give them something that feels like the original. And they don't want to do that. They want to just She-Ra, hello. They just want to piss all over it and then say, look, we gave you something new. But you didn't. I mean, you did, but it wasn't the same thing. It was just like a coat of paint on something that was what people loved. And they keep doing this. And then when they kept greenlighting so much stuff, they kept hiring as many people as they needed to keep it going. And a lot of times they hired people that, let's be honest, are piss poor writers.
That's the thing. Now, in an ideal world, if these people were all competent and they weren't blinded by activism and they were all, nose to the grindstone and not pissing around in the Slack or whatever, yeah, things would be better. But we know that's not the case. We've seen the results of shows that had a writer's room, and a lot of them were piss poor. And they're trying to say that you're going to save money on costly effects if you don't have to fix our shows. I'm like, didn't She-Hulk have a pretty sizable writer's room that told Kevin Feige to go pound sand?
Well, that was the showrunner. I don't know if it had a big writer's room, but
they still had things they had to fix.
I know, it doesn't matter what it is. They have to fix.
It doesn't matter. So now we get down to this. It's like, the writer's room will save you money. So they are basically writing this to the studios because they know the studios are going to read the Hollywood
and the dumb people
Report.
like us who don't understand
and the dumb
their
people
worth.
like us and the showrunners who don't think they need them. Given how paltry writing budgets are compared to what they used to be, the savings are at best penny wise, pound foolish. Is it any coincidence the show budget soared just as the writer's room got squeezed? I highly doubt it, but office-bound executives don't seem to have realized the connection. Okay, here we go.
Neither does anybody else because your argument's very thin.
It doesn't fit in a spreadsheet. And if bullshit AI is shoved down our throats in the name of efficiency, they'll try to convince themselves that all it takes is one writer and a fucking chatbot. You think TV's going downhill now? Just you wait. And if all this still isn't landing, Netflix will make it simpler. You know what show had a writer's room? Suits. And then here's a little, sorry, Elon, I can't call it X, blah, blah. Sometimes writers were paying to go to set. Oh my God.
What doesn't matter?
Whatever.
The thing is, for every good show you had that had a writer's room, I can give you like a dozen other ones that might have had a writer's room that sucked too. So this is a poor art. Good writers should most definitely stay in Hollywood.
Absolutely.
100%. Good writers should be paid fairly and should get residuals. 100%.
Yes.
Good showrunners should be able to hire as many writers as they want to put on their show.
Yes.
100%.
The people they want to hire.
Right. However, the majority of people I think that are writers are not good writers. They were just hired because they had too many shows greenlit and they needed people to fill the seats. Now, y'all want to stay employed, and I understand that.
I get that. Survival.
I get it. And some of them are really good and should get the opportunity to stay. But a lot of them aren't. And then the activist ones and the people who don't respect source material and come in and try to use it as agenda-driven bullshit, and then the shows fail terribly, cost the studio lots of money, you definitely should be gone.
So what I think is going on, this isn't just a cost savings thing.
It's a way to cancel stuff?
This is a way to cancel shows that are being overrun by bad writing, I think. Maybe that they greenlit them under different circumstances. Now they can look at the situation a couple years in and be like, you know what? All that shit we greenlit 2 years ago, yeah, we're not doing it anymore. They fired, almost every studio fired their diversity and inclusion officers because they were the ones that were like, we need to do shows with XYZ kinds of people, kinds of themes, and then we need to hire XYZ kinds of people to work on those shows. Doesn't matter if it's good or not. We got to tick off those check boxes.
And then sadly, the people that are good, that might be XYZ kind of thing, are going to get lumped in with the ones that suck because, they're going to be just identified by that, which isn't fair either.
That's not fair.
But,
That's not fair.
This whole thing is supply and demand. Okay. Yes. They had too much supply, so it demanded more writers. Supply is going to be cut down exponentially because they don't have the demand for these shows.
Right.
That means the demand for the writers is also going to decrease exponentially, which means you can't not hire as many writers as want to work. That's the way reality is.
And this is what I think gets me about this situation. And I'm not trying to sound like a dick, and I'm not trying to sound cold-hearted. And I'm not, Hollywood seems to think that they are immune from basic economics. They seem to think that they're immune from the same economic factors that affect every other industry, which is, again, you can't hire a bunch of people when there's a downturn in your business. And hiring more people doesn't mean your business is going to increase. If you've only got enough money to hire 5 people,
you better hire the best 5 people you can.
You hire the 5 best people you can. Hiring 10 half-assed workers isn't the same as hiring 5 good workers and, maybe paying them more than you would pay, the other 5 that you would have hired. You know what I'm saying? So what's going to happen, I think, is we're going to have people getting more money, getting more residuals, which is what they're asking for, but it's going to come at the expense of a lot of the people that just frankly weren't cutting the mustard.
Everybody could have seen that coming from the beginning. We said it from the beginning. We went through the list of demands. First thing we said was the writer's room. We kept saying, we agree with you on everything but the writer's room for this exact reason.
Yes.
And then they can use that extra money they're saving on writers that aren't doing anything to go make the show better or to go, do something else they needed to get done to make it look decent and have people want to watch the damn thing.
You are better off with, and the streamers are learning this, you're better off having a Stranger Things. Mm-hmm. One Stranger Things is worth 20 other shows, and that's what they're probably going to focus on. They're going to be like, yeah, we're going to try to find another Stranger Things, another Orange is the New Black or whatever it is, that's the big hit that's actually driving subscriptions. And it's better to do that than to crank out a bunch of half-assed shows that are canceled after a season. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then what reminds me of, though, we're going to wrap it up here soon, but, you brought it up too about like being depressed and sad, which I completely get. And I'm not minimizing this in any way, shape, or form. I understand how you must be feeling. And I'm not trying to be a bitch either. But the reality is free from feelings, and the reality is reality. But I also remember a time when coal miners were getting put out of work, and different people that were blue collar workers were their jobs were going away, and a lot of the writers and journalists were out there like, oh my God, learn to code.
Yeah, pretty much. I brought this up on Twitter actually today because, we've been talking a lot about AI and AI art. And I don't remember there being a lot of sympathy for all the 2D animators that were put out of work by 3D animation. Mm-mm. And all the studios decided...
learn to do 3D animation then.
Yeah, they were pretty much the attitude. If I remember correctly, now this was before major advent in social media, but if I remember correctly... oh, those old dudes, they're going to be out of work. Maybe they should learn to code. Maybe they should learn how to, they should retrain at 60 years old how to do 3D animation. Oh, well, it's our time now, bitches. Mm-hmm. That was the attitude. So it does make it hard when you had a lot of people, working in other industries, face the same sorts of hurdles, and they basically got jeered at and mocked by people that thought they were above it all, white collar workers who thought they were above it all. Now they're in the same position. Now, this article is interesting though, because they said the people that are really affected are the people that have no dog in the fight, the below the line crew.
That's what I was going to say. A lot of the people that, are they're talking about like the lower level workers or not just that, people that might be like the caterers.
Yeah.
Or, the different businesses that are, dependent on Hollywood, but aren't actually, part of the union things. They're the ones that are taking all the crap.
Yeah, because these are people that depend on the Hollywood machine working, and even we're going to see a long tail, kind of like we did with the pandemic, where movie theater operators, owners, workers are probably going to be out of work because they're not going to have new movies. We're going to be in the same position again. And the movies that are coming out aren't doing very well. So all these people that are affected by these decisions, but the reality is that we're really in this place right now because there was too much subpar content that wasn't paying for itself.
And that's everyone. That's,
Right.
like, that's the directors, and that's the, the actors, that's the writers, that's the studios, that's everybody's fault.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can handle it however you want to. And I do feel bad. We've had people, in the comments that are like, hey, I'm not an actor or a writer, but, I work production and I've been caught up in this too. It's, wasn't our decision
That's
to
what
pick
sucks.
it, but the production's halted and what are we going to do? And I feel bad. I do feel bad for those people.
Well, look, this whole writers thing could mostly be resolved if they just drop the stupid writers room mandates.
Yeah. There you go. Fall on your sword, guys. If you really believe in your ability to write good TV, you'll be fine. But if you think you suck and you only are going to have your job because there's a mandate in place that they need so many writers, then you really don't have a lot of confidence in your ability. So again, if you're a good writer, you'll be fine. Even if they decide to get rid of the writer's room, if you're a good writer, you'll be fine. This is the reason that the directors got theirs first, because they know they need directors and showrunners. And a lot of them just happen to be writers too. So, or they started out as a writer. So
A lot of them on the down low are saying, we don't want all you guys mandating writers rooms.
yeah, so they tried to do some damage control too on the Daily Dot, and they had a couple showrunners come out and say, no, we need them, guys, we need them, because
because they're trying to suck up.
Yep. So
It'd be funny if some of the ones that are saying that they were the ones that were going to the other Variety and being like, oh my God.
yeah, no, I guarantee you I think this is probably the prevalent feeling. This is why, again, the directors got theirs first. And then, what happened? Like Steven Spielberg even. He got another deal with Universal, and then he fired a bunch of people working for him because there wasn't enough money to go around. So it's going to be Survivor, basically. It's going to be Hollywood Survivor. If you're talented, you'll be fine, but there's too much subpar crap being churned out for streaming services. It wasn't the gold rush they thought it was going to be, and now it's time to course correct. And this is just business, baby. It's nothing personal. It's just business. So we're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.